good story? Does research often feel time-consuming, dry, or boring? In this video, I will be showing you how you can discover the interesting historical story around your piece, helping you to form deep and vivid connections to people and events that help you understand and express the musical storyline. This video is part 3 in a series designed to help you optimize your strategy for learning a new piece in a way that's effective and enjoyable. If you missed parts 1 and 2, I'll link those in the description, and remember to click subscribe if you'd like to be notified about new videos. A great strategy for tackling a complex topic is to break it into steps. So today we're going to explore 10 steps to help you find and connect the dots of the story around your piece. Maybe you feel like you don't have a lot of time to do this research. If that's you, there are 3 resources that I think can really help you in 5 minutes or less. One of my favorite resources for short biographies is allmusic.com. You can Google the composer's name followed by allmusic.com and it should take you there. You may have to click on Biography once you get to the website. Music appreciation resources, while often designed for non-musicians, can provide a helpful snapshot of a composer's life in a way that is easily absorbed. Program notes are another helpful resource, especially if you can find ones for your exact piece. These will also help save time later in the research process. When only reading one source, especially a short one, you do run the risk of getting a lopsided or even partially incorrect view of the composer's life. If you want to go deeper than the basic facts, but don't want to invest the time in reading a full book, there are a couple of options. You can read and compare several shorter articles, like the ones we discussed in Level 1, or you can try to find a longer, thorough article from an academic journal or encyclopedia. Ideally, the article you choose should cite references from reliable sources such as books or academic journals. To really get to know a composer more deeply, I have found a full biography book to be the most effective. In a well-written book, the facts come alive in vivid color, and by the end, you may feel like you've lived through this composer's life right alongside them. To be sure, there are some extremely dry biographies that seem like just a listing of many facts and dates. But the reality is you don't have to compromise thorough academic scholarship for an interesting read. One of my favorite authors is Jan Swafford. His biography on Brahms is really wonderful. He also has biographies on Beethoven, Charles Ives, and Mozart. To go one step further, reading some of the composer's letters or other writings will add a totally new dimension to your understanding of the composer's personality and the culture they lived in. I really enjoyed Mendelssohn's letters. I remember reading one where he was at a get-together with a friend, and they were discussing how long the audience would applaud after the pianist's cadenza. In other words, how much music to write for the orchestra that the public really wasn't going to hear because they were applauding. I find this really funny, but it also gives such an invaluable perspective into what the audience culture and performance practice of his time was. Most biographies of some length, such as we discussed in Level 2 or 3, will contain some of this information. However, to go a step deeper, you can read a history book that focuses on the time period and city or area in which the composer lived or worked. For Schubert and Beethoven, for example, I recently read Raymond Erikson's book, Schubert's Vienna. It was very insightful and enjoyable to read. Consider what was going on in the composer's life in the year they wrote this piece. Maybe consider the year before and the year after as well, to really contextualize this moment in the bigger picture. If you can find program notes for your specific piece, or one that was composed around the same time, these can be a very helpful start. Also, you can use the date of composition to zoom in on the corresponding section in a biography. When the piece was composed during the composer's career is especially interesting if they changed style considerably. I'm thinking of Strauss or Schoenberg for examples. Even if you didn't like math that much, all that's required for this step is simple addition and subtraction using their birth and death date. A quick Google search is all that's necessary for this. You can type in the composer's name plus the opus number and it should come up. To go a step deeper, you can listen to recordings of these pieces. For example, if your piece is a flute sonata, does the composer have other flute sonatas? If they do, this can help you contextualize the style and techniques used in your piece. Again, a quick Google search should suffice for this. Wikipedia often has a chronological timeline of major works in a particular genre. This can help you figure it out much faster. Please note that Wikipedia is not always accurate, although it often is. Just know that you need to use it with caution. Did the composer write a lot of works in this genre, or was this piece an outlier? Either way, the implications can be fascinating. Consider details of the premiere. See if the composer was alive or present for it, or perhaps it was premiered many years after their death. Are there significant recordings available for this piece, or is it somewhat unknown? Pablo Casals, for example, took the Bach cello suites from being merely pedagogical exercises to being one of the most widely performed and recorded works for cello today. Obviously, if there is an explicit story connected with this piece, you should be familiar with it. Consider the theme and variations form. Often the theme is taken from another work, whether by the same composer or another one. Try to get a basic knowledge of the piece where the theme came from, including listening to the theme in its original context. Once you've done this research, it can be very helpful to think about how you would share this information with an audience member. This can help you to remember the key information of the piece, as well as to prepare you for future interactions or pre-concert introductions of pieces, if it's right for the venue or occasion. If you found this video helpful, consider sharing it with a friend, and remember to stay tuned for the next video coming out next week. Thanks for watching, I love you all, and I'll see you soon.